Hello YouTube, my name is Venator, and in today's video, we are back on our prime Tyrannosaurus Rex. And not just any Rex, this is our entombed Rex on Petits NA server. And today, hopefully, we will get this guy all the way through prime and entombed for our second time. And what better way than to start out this video with an awesome stego kill. And while I was on my way here, I met up with the Twitch streamer Mindflayer. He was growing a Rex and he was solo. And since I was solo, it just made sense to group up and grow out these guys together for as long as we could. So we came up here to the puddle, and this is where we will be starting this adventure out. So if you guys enjoy the video, please drop a like or comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any awesome content. And before we get started, since we are on my entombed Rex, I just wanted to show you guys my mutations real quick. And so after healing up the bleed from that stego, it was time to fill up my food, fill up the water, and then it would be into a bush to continue ambush hunting around the puddle. But as I was going to the water, we had some activity around the puddle, and I thought I might be able to get a quick kill, but he saw me coming and ran off. For those of you that don't know, Pygmy's Puddle is located right here, just south of West Rail Pond, and it's a very convenient drinking spot for a lot of players because there's often a Deinosuchus in West Rail, as many of you probably know if you've been watching my content. Anyway, this makes the puddle one of my favorite hunting spots, but it has recently become much more popular. You guys remember or saw the hunting guide I put out? Then you'd know that it was occupied occasionally when I come to check it. But this was recorded before the hunting guide, so I had the area to myself for a time. And during my time here, I did have pretty good luck. Although, due to the rocks and small trees, you don't always get everything at the puddle. Right there, I just missed a Sarah. I don't miss often, but hey, it happens to the best of us. But it is nice when things run right next to you, just like this dibble. Mindflayer beat me to the punch, but he just wasn't quite big enough to finish him in a full pin, so I finished this little dibble off. He didn't even try to run because he knew he was toast, so I just finished him with good old-fashioned bites. And with the abundance of kills we were getting, they make wonderful bait to lure in those hungry carnivores that are scavenging for food, just like this little Sarah. And it wasn't long before we had more takers at some of our corpses, so I activated stealth mode to see if I could set up a nice ambush. And if you can't tell, it is very fun to throw people. I get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And another great strategy to utilize around the puddle is to separate yourselves on opposite sides. That way, when one of you attacks something, and whatever that is scatters, there's a chance they might not notice or run into the other Rex. Like this raptor here, since he had seen Mind Flayer, he thought it was safe and went right to drinking. Remember, Tyrannosaurus Rex, they're like dinos. Where there's one, there is liable to be a second. Don't ever assume one is solo until you are absolutely sure. Not really sure what that Carno was sneaking towards, but hey, that's more bait for the kill pile. But shortly after that, Mind Flayer and I would go our separate ways. I had to log off for the day, and so when I returned, I was back on my own, and I had a friend waiting for me in Highlands, so I headed out to see if I could go link up with him. And just as I made it to the lake, we met up and grouped up. And if you guys watched my growing video, you guys will probably recognize him. It's my buddy Shadow. And ignore the crush bite. I forgot to cancel that. For those that don't know, you can talk quietly, like your Rex won't make any noise if you immediately hold down the crush bite after you hit enter to send a message or hit 2 to pair up. But it didn't take long for Shadow and I to find some prey. He was able to run down and get a nice sized dibble that I honestly didn't even see because I wasn't really paying attention. And then later that night, as we were approaching what we thought could be a decent amount of food, Shadow spotted a lone solo Rex. And unfortunately for this guy, we were both bigger than him, and he ran headfirst into me. And so for those of you that don't know, on Petits, there is a bounty for any Rex that you kill that's over 50%. I'm all about those coins, so most of the time, I don't go out of my way to hunt Rexes if I spot one, but if one pops up right in front of my face, and it's like this kind of situation, then unfortunately, that's just bad luck. And now, not everybody's the same, as you're gonna, don't want to give it away too much, but you're gonna see at the very end of this video, I received some mercy, so I might be changing my ways, but you never know. Also, don't you love the bugged running? How he was just skating down the hill. And you know, this guy, he tried to put up a fight, but unfortunately, once your leg broken and it's 1-on-2, there's just nothing you can really do. Not sure who got the last bite on that guy, but either way, myself or Shadow gained some coins. And then it was back to ambush hunting in Highlands. Using these large bushes in your third-person camera, you can really get the drop on people. Like these dibbles. And sometimes, I don't know why, the throw just doesn't work. I don't know if you gotta hold the button for so long to actually throw them or if I let it go too soon, but don't always get the nice throw. After that, it was time to leave Highlands and head back over to West Rail. As you guys saw in my hunting guide, West Rail in the Highlands area is probably my favorite place to hunt. And as we were on this path, we actually came across a smaller Triceratops. I mean, this guy wasn't that big at all. And just to show how powerful the thrash is, I just sat there and ate both those thrashes. And even at that guy's size, it did a fair amount of damage. Like, I'm the almost peak prime Rex, and I don't even know if that trike was halfway or 60%, but I mean, his horns are not very big. So maybe if a experienced trike player can let me know down below, but that thrash just does insane damage, even when you're not that big. But after that trike, Shadow and I ended up both having to get off. And so when I got back on for my next session, I met up with another friend of mine, and we were hunting around in Highlands when I smelled some stuff at the channel that connects the lakes. And as a Dino main, well, I gotta still do my part to keep that population in check. And I had a hunch that this guy wasn't alone. And sure enough, as I was trying to get that corpse out of the bush, he hit a super lunge, trying to grab my friend. And he hit the lunge pretty good, but luckily, Gamer was just far enough away that he could get out of the way. And so, I tried to get as many bites on this guy as I could, staying in the water to take the fight to him. And after I could tell he didn't want to take any more bites, I returned to the bush and took his kill out and up further onto the shore. That way, my buddy that was growing could eat it and pump those diets up. And after that, Gamer had to get off for the night, so I was back on my own, playing solo. So, I was ambushing my way through the Highlands area, thinking about going back over to West Rail, when I spotted this stego, trying to make a run for it. And seeing that my hunger was down under the halfway mark, that was a much needed meal. And since I was alone, it was back over to the jungles around West Rail to continue hunting in the safety of the trees. And at 12.3 tons and 87%, we were in our peak, our absolute maximum strength in regards to our bite force and our speed. Now, granted, I still had another 0.5% to improve a little bit, but at 87%, you're basically there. And as I was making my way back down to Pygmy's Puddle, I smelled a pack symbol back in the direction that I had just came from. So I activated ambush mode or stealth mode and crept and made my way over towards this pack symbol. And so for those of you that are new, this is why you always roll in mud whenever you get the chance. Mud keeps these pack symbols from showing up and giving away your position. But yet, we weren't done there. After taking a couple bites, I decided to sniff around me again, and sure enough, another pack symbol. So, I decided I had to go right for it. Thinking, honestly, I was expecting some kind of carnivore to be hiding in a bush, since there was it seemed to be an abundance of food around. As I crept towards the direction of the symbol, I was checking the large bushes and sure enough found another, but much larger, Triceratops. That's just horrible bad luck for those two trikes. And like I said earlier, that's why you always mud up. And I'm guessing that there might have been a baby or something else around because the pack symbol was still showing up even for this guy. Anyway, it was back to the puddle for some more ambush hunting. And then later, as I was roaming around Highlands, I had to include this because somehow a giant organ blob took over the sky, or the island, and it was very strange. I have no idea what caused this bug, but I have to say, that's the Isle in a nutshell if I've ever seen it. I mean, look at that. That is just hilarious. I couldn't believe I got this on camera. Looks like a giant stomach or heart. Not an organ pro, so I couldn't quite tell you. I think it was a heart, but I don't know. Could be wrong. And these next two kills might look a little familiar. If you guys watched the hunting guide, you should probably recognize this. But for those of you that didn't get a chance to see it, I made my way over to West Rail, where I was trying to ambush a dibble or Maya out in the field. But then I had some Carnos that just came too close to danger. And after that Carno, I was making my way up towards Pygmy's Puddle when I heard another Tyrannosaurus Rex eating in this area. From the sounds of it, he was at least an adult Rex, and I also heard some bushes rustling. So I didn't feel like risking it since I was alone. You never know. I could have been bigger than these guys, but I just didn't want to risk it and find out, especially since I wasn't really hurting for food at the time. And so then I would make my way over to another spot that I like to ambush hunt at, Landslide Lake. And as it happens to be, I also needed to fill up my water. And I won't lie, the hunting was not very good. I sat here for quite some time without seeing anything, till finally I heard something drinking, what would turn out to be a very small Maya. While not huge, it at least got me back to a manageable level. Eventually I was forced to leave though, and I made my way back over to the jungle in between West Rail and the Highland Sanctuary. And that's where I found a small Triceratops. In this heavy fog, I always like to creep through patrol zones because you never know what herbivores you will find that are roaming for food. And since there was a patrol zone there, I decided to get in one of these big bushes just outside the forest's edge that kind of borders the Highland Sanctuary in the path that a lot of people take down to Landslide Lake. So I sat here for some time, and that's when I noticed another smaller trike trying to make a run for it from the sanctuary area. And unfortunately for him, I just saw him in the nick of time, and I activated my murder sprint and was able to close the gap. But if you noticed, he never exited this bush. I got far enough out where I could tell, and so I went in and bit, didn't hit anything. But then I couldn't walk forward, so I activated a crush bite, and sure enough, got the guy. Bad luck, little potato. But even though you're not huge, this is still a decent amount of food. And a nice little tossing send-off. And after that, I would go on to entomb. That's right, we reached our second entombed on our Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I will go over the mutations, but as you can see, the next video on our Petits NA Rex will be growing this guy for the third time. But this time we got a full set of buffed and double buffed mutations. So we're going to go through those now. And then for my 9th mutation, I would go ahead and take cellular regeneration. Because at this point, I basically have all the critical mutations that I need. And so for my next 3, I'll most definitely take both damage mutations. And I don't know. We'll have to see how we're feeling at the end of this guy's grow. But now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, why did I not show the entombment? And well, the answer is kind of frustrating because while I was recording the actual entombment, something with my OBS messed up and it was just a blank screen. You could hear the audio, but there was nothing on video. Now, and I was able to resolve the issue, so hopefully moving forward I'll catch that. But anyway, what interestingly did happen, and if early on in the video when we killed that Rex and I mentioned some mercy, well, see, I logged in and I one called because I thought that I was going to hit 100% pretty quick and then immediately entomb. And I was kind of in a hurry and rushing myself. But the 99%.6 or 7, the tick from that to 100 took a lot longer than I thought. And I got found by these 2 other prime Tyrannosaurus Rex. And lucky for me, they recognized me and the channel and they spared me. They allowed me to entomb in exchange for a selfie. So we lined up, all hit the sniffing pose so they could get a cool screenshot. And yeah, this is where actually the thumbnail came from for the video. So hey, shout out to these 2. Thank you for not killing me. It's always nice to see a little mercy, and it has inspired me to be a nicer Rex on the Isle. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time, and happy hunting.